What's good, YouTube? LTTV Sports Talk. And before I get started with this video, for those that may be new to this channel, I do content on boxing and mixed martial arts. If that's the type of content that you're into, feel free to hit that sub button. Keith Thurman came back after a 3-year hiatus from the sport of boxing Saturday night against Barrios. He won by unanimous decision. And in his post-fight interview, he made comments about his performance and what is next for him. He states the following: "This was a comeback fight after 2.5 years away," said Clearwater, Florida's Thurman. "I wish I had my best performance, but I did the best I could under the circumstances. I grade this performance a C+ or a B- for myself. We rocked them. We weren't able to put them down and out, but we had a great performance and a great fight," said Thurman. "I want the belts. I want the champions. I want to be back on top. So whoever is willing to send Keith Thurman the contract, let's go." End quote. Now, at this point of Keith Thurman's career, it's good that he has the hunger and the desire to want to stake his claim or restake his claim as the best welterweight at 147 pounds. But the welterweight landscape, despite Thurman still being a name in the sport and one of the top welterweights in the sport of boxing, the landscape at 147, I don't think he'll be able to overcome that. I just don't. When you match him up against the Jerron Boots Ennis of the world, I don't see Thurman winning that fight. Boots is too young, too hungry, too skilled, and versatile. And given the fact that Thurman is very susceptible to body shots throughout his whole career, I think Boots would actually stop Thurman. And I'm going to take it a step further, really. I think Boots, Crawford, and Errol Spence will all stop Thurman to the body, because that's his weak spot. It's always been that way throughout his tenure in the sport. So I don't see him fighting Errol Spence, because Spence is not going. Spence has made this clear on more than one occasion, and he put Boots on Thurman a few days ago, if I'm not mistaken. So if that fight is actually made and the contract is sent to him, as he stated in his comments, and Team Boots sent Thurman the contract, I don't know if he'll sign it. I personally don't. I think it's cap when he says that he'll fight Ennis after this if he can't get Spence or Crawford. Thurman, he really doesn't have a lot of options unless he's going to fight the young bulls in that division, Ennis and Virgil Ortiz. He fights one of those two young bulls in welterweight. I'm not certain if he wins either of those fights. Now, he's more seasoned and experienced than those two, but those two guys, they too young and hungry and really just a little bit too powerful for Keith Thurman at his advanced age. So it'll be quite telling to see like what's next for him, because I don't see him getting the Errol Spence fight. I don't see that ever happening. Now maybe at 154, then yeah, but at 147, I don't see Thurman getting that fight with Errol Spence. Terence Crawford, that's still an option from my understanding. That potential bout can happen around July or August, and I have Terence Crawford stopping Thurman as well, because Crawford is a finisher, and with Thurman, he got caught to the body, say the mid to late rounds against Barrios, and he got hurt to the body pretty bad, and he showed the world that it hurt him. So you do that against a Terence Crawford, he's gonna put you away and not think twice about it. That's just how cerebral Terence Crawford is in the ring. So with Thurman and his weaknesses, as we know, him going up against Spence or Crawford or Jaron Ennis, he's getting stopped in all of those fights. He says he doesn't want to lose again, but you put him up against those three guys or one of them, he's getting finished. There's just no way around that. So when I look at the landscape for him, I don't see no other options. But if him and Crawford, if they can get it in July, August, I got Crawford finishing him in like, say, a round 8 or round 9. Because the second half of fights, Thurman tends to slow down. The first half of fights, he's picking up the pace. But in the second half of the fight, for some reason, he always tends to take his foot off the gas pedal. And you're going up against elite competition, your conditioning, that has to be top notch. Because you're going up against upper echelon competition. And if they see that you're not on your P's and Q's with your cardio, and you got to go into later rounds and fights, all they got to do is pick you apart and drown you, and you're finished. Just like that. Now, do I see Keith Thurman winning the belt at 147 pounds at this point of his career? My answer to that question will be no. The competition is a little bit too steep, and Thurman, he may be biting off more than he can chew. And I know some may not like what I'm saying, but hey, I got to keep it a buck. Now, his next fight, whether against Crawford or one of the young prospects in that division, Thurman is pretty much on borrowed time. So it'd be interesting to see who his next opponent will be, how he will fare in the welterweight division after Barrios, and whether or not he can overcome the odds and win another belt at welterweight, because all the odds are stacked against him. Because you got Ennis, you got Crawford, and lastly, you have Errol Spence. Those are the guys that he has to deal with at this point. And honestly, after this, I don't see Keith Thurman winning. I just don't. I see Keith Thurman getting stopped, and he may possibly retire from the sport. But I think he wants Errol Spence, because Errol Spence represents big money, and it's more of a cash out fight for him. So if he can get that fight, which I doubt, but if he can, it might be his last fight in the sport. But if he comes across Terence Crawford in the summertime, and Crawford just does him absolutely dirty, he gonna retire from the sport either way. So with Thurman, in my opinion, I think he's looking for that one fight to cash out, and that's it. I don't think he's really into the sport like that, as people think. If I'm wrong, then hey, that's fine, I'm wrong. But I don't get that same vibe from him as I did years ago when he was like, "You better not duck me, son," or something like that. I don't get that same vibe from him at this later stage of his career. But we shall see what's next for Keith Thurman, and we shall see if he overcomes the odds. And that's going to conclude this video. If you liked and enjoyed it, hit that like, that sub button, hit that bell, and click also. You never miss any of my videos, and you see all of my notifications. LTTV Combat Sports Talk. I'm out of here. Peace.